everyone, and welcome back to Babbling Beauty from the Voices of the Valley podcast studio. My name's Chris, and I'm here with
Christine.
All right, Christine. So we are going to talk a lot of things wellness, primarily weight management today.
Yep.
But before we get in there, credential yourself. Who the heck are you?
So I'm a nurse practitioner at Meesha Aesthetics, and my background's in family medicine and dermatology.
Okay, so you've had quite the journey so far, and I remember how long have you been here with us?
I've been with you guys for 5 years.
All right, and you started injecting. Yep. We had a blip that we were like, dermatology.
Yep.
And then weight management has just kind of taken over.
For sure. I've been doing that for 4 years now.
Have you had a favorite?
Weight management is the most rewarding because it gives me that like medical kind of background, but obviously aesthetics is rewarding in just a different way.
It's like immediate gratification.
Yes, exactly.
We were joking right before it started that like weight management is not a quick fix. It's not. And the people who, oh gosh, this is going to be such a deep episode. And I'm so sorry if anyone's triggered. But the people that lose weight the slowest tend to keep it off. Would you agree?
100%.
So on average, what would you say a typical weight loss journey looks like week by week?
Yeah, so it's gonna depend kind of on age, honestly. Like if you're in your 20s, your weight loss journey could be a little bit quicker. Like you could drop 8 pounds of
in our
bloat.
20s, like we are. We're in our 20s.
Yeah, totally.
Obviously.
Even in your 30s and 40s for women, if you have like that hormonal bloat, there could be like a quick flush, I call it, where people get like super amped. It's like, oh my God, I'm down 8 pounds in 2 weeks. I'm like, that's cool. Don't get used to it. Then we try to go for the 1 to 2 pounds a week.
And if you're noticing someone after that flush is doing like 4 to 6 pounds a week, what's a red flag? What happens?
So I start getting nervous. People will lose muscle mass really quickly. And then honestly, we have to just reel them in. I mean, there's times where you just don't continue the medication if that happens. You have to be eating. You have to be exercising. You don't want to be looking like a popped balloon. Basically.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a lot in this podcast.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about muscle mass.
Yep.
So I want to target that for at least 5 minutes. And then I also want to target this whole like Ozempic Face, right?
Yeah.
And we have to definitely target that. Why is weight loss harder though than people realize, both on and off medications?
I think that the way, I mean, you could even look at it as a country, like the way our food is designed, the way our culture is designed, we're a very like more bigger, better, faster.
The portions at the Cheesecake Factory.
Yes. And that portion and the calories become normal. And then we don't get it because we don't realize like, why is my $800 calorie Starbucks and $800 not, that's all I had for breakfast. Well, you ate more than someone who had 2 eggs. You know what I mean? Like, so you're just the calorie, what we think is healthy is misaligned.
I don't think that I'm sure that people study this, but I think we've never even talked about this as coworkers, but calorie blindness is a thing we've never talked about. We talk about food noise. Again, this podcast is good. We're going to talk about so much so fast, but calorie blindness, let's dive into that. Food scales, do you agree with those?
Yes. So my background with fitness, I actually did a fitness competition, and that's when I first started like weighing my foods. I will tell you 99% of people tell me I don't eat that much. And then once I have them start weighing their foods and tracking their calories, they're like, oh dear goodness, I was eating like 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day.
And it adds up quickly. So there's always, I know for me specifically, and I'd love to hear what you are, I am a quantity food eater.
Yeah.
So like popcorns and bags of spinach, I know do me well, and broccoli is dense. So I have to eat large quantities to feel full.
Yeah.
I'm not satiated. You could give me the richest chocolate dessert and it's not going to cut it for me. How about you? How do you feel?
I'm more like, I would say more quality. I was more quantity until I did like that whole competition like journey. And now it's weird. I really do look at food as like what will give me the best like protein calorie, like what's going to fuel me the most and what's going to get me through the day.
Do you do that mentally these days or do you still like track?
Now it's mentally. I do have a food scale. I don't really use it anymore because now like once you use a food scale for so long, you just start eyeballing. Like I used to measure everything. I would weigh rice, like everything, which probably sounds crazy to someone, but it really does teach you a lot. And it doesn't mean you have to do it forever. And then eventually it just becomes second nature. Like you can look at a plate of chicken and know how much you should be eating.
Do you feel like you're ever restricted in like living life? I mean, I see your Instagram, you still go out.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my gosh. I go out. I still go out to dinner. I think where I used to go out and eat a full appetizer, a full meal and full dessert and be confused as to why I was gaining weight into my late 30s. And now I'm just like, all right, I'll split this app. My husband and I will get something small. And then we usually, we skip dessert or I love a dark chocolate. Like, yes.
When you talk about these medications, right, there are a variety on the market. The big thing that they're claiming to target, and I never like to make promises, but it's something called food noise. Can you tell me what food noise is?
Yeah, so food noise, I think, really came to light with GLP medications. But honestly, it's that little voice in our head that goes, that donut looks good. Oh, what am I having for dinner? Wait, what am I planning for lunch tomorrow? And then, they bring in food to the office. Oh my gosh, it's free. I need to eat all of this. It's that little voice in the back of our head that says, I want more, 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 more. And GLP medications, I will say, do like quiet that noise for people. People will say they feel like they have self-control.
I've never gone on the deep dive. And if you haven't, we can always like add this into the subtext later. Is it a chemical reaction that we're doing? Like, what's the science?
So the GLP is a hormone in our brain. So there is a chemical reaction in the brain without getting like too sciencey. But basically, I tell people like we have the hormone, right? It just doesn't work that well. We've kind of trained it as a society to not work that well. So when you add that on, all of a sudden this like amazing self-control, it's like when you're trying to diet and you see these fitness influencers and they're like, I'm an intuitive eater. And all of us are like, well, what the hell does that mean? It makes you an intuitive eater. All of a sudden you get it.
Yeah.
And that's what's kind of cool.
I was just watching this whole like Netflix documentary, how food these days, especially junk food, is designed to dissolve in our mouth. Yes. And so you never have that sensation of satiety.
Yeah, society.
Whatever. You never feel full because
Correct.
like the Cheeto dissolves before you actually swallow it. And then the Doritos turn to dust. And so your brain, and they do it on purpose because they want you to buy another bag, right?
Yep.
So I feel like these GLPs have been such a blessing in disguise for people who were, for lack of better terms, addicted
100%
to junk food.
Yeah.
Speaking of addiction, I'm sure you've seen the studies that GLPs are also helping with addiction.
Yes.
Alcohol addiction, things like that.
Yeah. I saw it even being studied now with like drug addiction. I don't know how that works, but I'll be interested to see what comes out of it. But alcohol for sure.
Okay. So how much of weight management though is biology versus willpower at this point?
Ooh. So that's actually a question I get from a lot of my clients. I do think that there is a part that we so-and-so can't control. However, I feel like that's the last part that people lose because they're hanging. I'm sorry. The first part that they lose is like all of a sudden they have the ability to get that hormone flush off and they feel better. But then it comes into like, what are you doing every day? And that's when they hit a certain point and they're like, well, I'm not losing weight anymore. And I'm like, well, are you working out? Well, I walk. Okay, well, that's not weight training. That's not cardio. That's your new normal. So I do think there's a part of weight that I don't want to say it's not. I don't believe that weight's genetic, which don't come at me. God,
we were literally told not to be canceled, and here we are.
Here I am getting
Here's
canceled.
your hook.
But I do think there's a small portion of it, especially with like bloating and like what we eat makes us bloated. I do think that part happens, but then I do think that it requires a lot of work for my clients. Like the clients who do the best have put in the most work.
So, I mean, this is a crazy segue question because I don't want to get to the end before we even go into more detail, but I've been on a GLP as a client for a while. When I stop, will I continue to enjoy the results? Is it like client dependent? Talk to me about stopping.
That's a great question. So and we'll use you as an example, honestly. So you've been going to the gym almost daily now. Like you've changed your diet completely. You really don't drink alcohol anymore. I would anticipate you as my client to maintain your weight. Yeah. I don't think that became your new normal. If you stopped the medication, went back to the bar, went back to fast foods, went back to not working out, you're going to gain back everything that you lost.
Absolutely. So it is, you use the GLP as a learning block and you use it as a kickstart, a jump start. But what you do after your GLP, or I mean, is it safe to stay on it long term?
Yeah. So a lot of my clients are microdosing now.
Not
as far as we've seen, not mushrooms. As far as we've seen in all the studies, like obviously it's always ongoing. Safety has been proven to still be consistent, which is awesome. Those people stay on for that like little bit of bloat. Like they're not losing weight anymore, but they do like the calming of the food noise. But I tell people my goal is that you're living your normal life. You're eating normal. You're not, huge calorie restriction. You're going to the gym and feeling amazing, but you're not bloated. You're not feeling blah. You just feel like better. And that's a great microdosing client.
So after my bloat goes and I'm on a maintenance dose, right? I feel like the hardest thing for clients to find the balance of is enough calories to maintain muscle or build muscle. We can talk about both, but also few enough calories that I'm not gaining weight, right? can you explain TDEE? Can you explain base calories? Like how does that work?
Yeah. So like daily calorie, right? Which is like the TDEE or the base calorie, whatever you want to call it. That's the amount of calories that you need to consume just to stay level. Like, and that's where people get wrong. They're like, oh, that I'm like, no, you're just eating this enough to keep going. You're not eating enough to lose, but you're also not eating enough to gain. When you talk about muscle, every fitness person will tell you cannot gain muscle in a calorie deficit. I've seen a couple amazing women at the gym who've done it, but I have not experienced that myself. When I was training for my competition afterwards, I had to go in a calorie surplus, which messes with you, but you do gain muscle during that point. You also gain fat. So, that's where it gets hard.
It's bulking, right?
Yeah, it's bulking.
And so I've heard terms, and maybe if you know these or not, I'm kind of throwing these left field, dirty bulking versus clean bulking. What's the difference?
Yes. So, oh my gosh, that's funny that you said that. So like dirty bulking is like people come off of a show or off of diet or off of anything, and they're just eating everything in front of them. So when you're clean bulking or...
Well, can we go back a little bit? I'm so sorry. I imagine you're getting ready for a show that you are bulking, but you're trying to say, and again, I'm learning about all this now.
Yeah.
You actually lean out for a show?
Oh my God, yeah. You're super calorie restricted. So once you're ready, like you feel like your muscle mass is okay, you strip calories down to like almost, it's honestly not healthy. Like you strip calories down to like almost nothing, but you're still keeping your exact same weight training and cardio, if not more. And then once you're done and the judges tell you, oh, you need to grow your glutes, you need to grow your shoulders, then you go into a calorie surplus. But one thing I hate is like that macros over like whatever, like, oh, if it fits my macros, girl, it doesn't fit your macros. Like a donut and Pop-Tarts, which is where I was like, oh, I'll have a Pop-Tart for my pre-workout because it fits in my macros. I just ate trash. Yeah. Like nothing fueled me. It was garbage.
And just because it hit a macro, yes or no, doesn't mean that those chemicals are good for your body externally. Like your are we allowed to curse on Babbling Beauty? I've never cursed. I'm going to say it. You're fucking with your hormones, babe. So like that Pop-Tart may fit your macros, but it's not going to hit your hormones level. And we're not saying don't ever have a Pop-Tart, right? Like just don't make it a daily pre-workout, right?
80-20. Yeah. It should always be 80-20.
So circling back to the GLP maintenance, I'm going to again reference maintenance.
Yeah.
Should people on a GLP be dirty bulking to maintain muscle? Because one of the things we're really worried about is such a calorie deficit because the food noise is turned off that you start losing muscle mass, right? So, well, how do you balance that? Is it food diaries? What's the...
Food diaries, I think like people are so afraid of carbs now. That's everything's like high protein, low carb, but healthy carbs are where it's at. Like rice, brown rice, sweet potato. It's not glamorous, right? Like health isn't glamorous, but it does work. So that's kind of where you want to add back in your calories of your healthy foods that are going to fuel your workout. So your chicken, veggies, and rice, it's going to do it for you. It's not beautiful, but it works. So
it's also easy to maintain, measure, and keep consistent, right? So like something I struggle with in my personal life is I get bored. So I have the tools to lose or maintain, but I don't want to eat the same thing every day. And I've resounded to like, hey, a 20-pound fluctuation for the rest of my life is better than a 90-pound gain. Yeah. And so I know if I restrict myself too much, I will end up falling off a wagon, binge eating. But if I say to myself, some months you're going to be 220, some months you're going to be 230, then you can switch up your recipes at night. But if you are looking for that weight loss, you're going to have to do the chicken and rice for a couple weeks. If not just to retrain yourself. Okay. So shuffling from muscle mass to fat pads. Let's talk about Ozempic Face, right? So this trend online, Ozempic Face, can we break it down? What is it?
So basically like the fat pads in your face get smaller, right? They shrink. So they're not gone, but they shrink just like a fat in our body. However, we don't have as much fat in our face as we do in our belly. So even though you still see a little belly roll, your face will end up kind of getting that sunken in. Temple is a huge area that starts to go down. And then that, people say they look gaunt. So they look at that like very sharp, like recessed or removed jaw, like mid-face area.
So you have two choices at that point, right? Gain weight, which people on GLPs probably don't want. What's an alternative?
Alternative would be, I love biostimulators, so Sculptra, Radiesse, Easy Gel in the right client, filler properly placed. So I don't like to do a lot of like pan facial filler, but I do a lot of like pan facial biostimulators and then adding filler on to like cheekbone, temple, chin, anywhere where we feel like we need a little bit more support.
I want to circle back to food real quick. I know we're all over the place for this topic. I follow you on Instagram, so I see this. Someone's in a relationship or has children. So can you talk to me about how you balance the calories that you need versus your husband?
Yeah, that's actually really a great question because a lot of people say that. They're like, well, I'll eat this, but my family doesn't. Well, your family needs to eat it too. Like that's the honest truth. Like when I was doing my cut, Andrew was not cutting, but he was eating the exact same foods I was. I just doubled his portions. And then even now we do home chef, right? I don't cook dinner. I'm not a chef. I like it easy. So when we get it, I split the meal. He gets like 2/3 and I get 1/3 because that's exactly what we need.
You know, I would make a suggestion to people, and again, agree or disagree. I love a conversation. When you are investing in a GLP or weight management, you may want to over budget in terms of you may need that home chef because what you think is healthy cooking isn't.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, like using me as an example, I never counted the calories from butter because I was like, oh, it's cooking oil.
Or peanut butter.
Or like I would just throw it in the pan or like, oh, I'm going to cover this with salt and then not take into account like, and salt's healthy, but overabundance of anything.
Yeah.
And, you know, even if a recipe calls for a tablespoon of sugar, that is 70 calories, right?
Exactly.
So I think that if you are investing in a GLP, it's not out of the question to consider investing in a home chef service.
Yeah. Or because they're portion controlled, right? You can't eat, I mean, unless you order it and you eat the whole 2-person meal yourself, right? Which I guess you could do, but it does force you. It only gives you what you need to make. So you're restricted to that. I mean, you could add a ton of oil, but weighing your oils and your cooking stuff, it sounds psychotic. But people, when you look at peanut butter, and I love peanut butter, man, are we overeating that? We have no idea the portion size.
Especially because it was sold to us as high protein. And it's not high protein, it's not low protein, but it's not a protein supplement.
No, I treat peanut butter like a
dessert. It's a candy. Yeah. It's delicious though.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about stigmas and talk to me about like obesity, right? So how are you as a practitioner walking the fine line about never shaming somebody? Like we don't want anyone to feel embarrassed coming in for weight management issues. But how are you walking that fine line of making sure no one feels bad about themselves? Yeah,
honestly, when people come to me, they're already like kind of starting that journey. But I ask people like, how do you feel? If you feel super healthy and you feel super good, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're not healthy. Would I agree with everything that they are maybe eating or doing? Maybe not. But I've never had a conversation with someone where they were like, no, this is exactly the way that I want to be. They all say, I feel sluggish. I feel like, I don't feel comfortable getting dressed. I don't feel comfortable going on a date with my husband because my clothes don't fit right. And I've been there, I was 30 pounds heavier before I did my competition and everything. And wow, what a difference to have the confidence of like not worrying about trying on an outfit at a clothing store because you just feel better about yourself.
So I follow, do you know what Reddit is?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a subreddit called NSV, non-scale victories. Yeah. And I think that's not talked about enough.
No.
Like, especially for women, getting on the scale, whether you're having your period, whether you're bloated or you're having, water retention, your weight's going to fluctuate.
Yes.
But you really have to focus on those non-scale victories.
100%.
How does clothing feels a big one, but can you keep up with your children?
Yep.
How was climbing those stairs yesterday?
Yeah. Are you out of breath?
Are you out of breath? Right. Like how was opening that jar this week compared to last week? Like there's so many non-scale victories that we can celebrate. And
and they're so much more important than the scale.
Yeah.
So much more important.
And at Meesha, like I think that one of the big things we say is we want to celebrate with you, right? Yeah. Like we have an EMR system called Simplast, and I don't mind if you send me a message. Like I climbed the stairs without getting winded. I will celebrate with you, right? Or say, I'm not, changing fast enough. We talked about protein. We talked about fat. The one thing that I'm seeing a lot in the news right now, let's talk about fiber. Okay. So trend, fad, or something more important?
I think fiber is super important, but like anything, you can't have too much of it, right? Like you don't want to OD the fiber or eat my least favorite thing that the food market does is they'll slap the name fiber on everything. And people are like, I'm eating fiber cookies. I'm like, cool. It's still a cookie. I don't care if there's fiber in it. You want to get it from like your vegetables. I do a supplement. I mean, I'm not going to say what it is. I'm going to, sell it. But I do a supplement. There's a lot on the market that are great. But if you can get from your diet, that's great. Most people don't get enough though from their diet.
So when you're thinking fiber, protein, carbs, like, is there a balance or is there one that you're a big proponent of? Do you have a favorite?
As far as the food groups?
No, I guess what should people be pushing for? Is it a well balanced or you really should be focusing on protein stuff?
It's well balanced. Protein's always going to be number one on my list, but carbs are fuel and women need fat for their hormones. So you can't strip out everything. That's why crash diets don't work. If you eliminate something, you're going to get a quick result for a little while. Keto diet people do great with, but eventually it's just not long-term. They can't eat that much fat and that little carb for forever. So I think trying to find that balance of I'm not eating anything too much and maybe one day's a little bit higher in carbs and lower in fats, but you're always kind of maintaining that level of just normalcy, I guess.
And again, pivoting, safety and efficacy, right? Like we put our license on the line most days, like when we're
Yeah.
injecting and we're doing these, whatever we do in the office. But we don't take this lightly, right? We're always watching, research studies coming out.
Yeah.
But these medications aren't new. They're new for
Correct.
weight loss.
Correct.
But they've been around, I think it was for diabetes first.
Yes, diabetes first.
And so people who are afraid out there of most commonly are side effects, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about the most common side effects you see.
So most common side effects are going to be nausea, constipation, like just that like refluxy feeling. I tell people the first 2 weeks I'm expecting a little bit of like the ick. You should maybe feel a little bit nauseous, maybe feel a little bit put off by food. If you are vomiting, you need to let me know that. That's, in my opinion, not normal. When I was looking at all these people, mainly online, they're like, oh, I lost so much weight, but I was vomiting every day. Your dose is too high.
Yeah.
You have to come down. Like you should not be vomiting every day. That's insane.
And I think that the one thing that people alternatively forget is how important water is.
Yes, because constipation is a side effect. And that's because your gut is literally moving slower. So you need to make sure that's where fiber comes in, water, electrolytes, movement. There's different vitamins that you can take, but you don't want to slow your gut down so much that now you're bloated because you have to poop.
Yeah, literally.
That's not fun.
That's not fun. So we have about 2-3 minutes left, right? So I don't want to miss too much out. But if you don't look at the camera, but if you could look at the camera and tell a majority of the world, because this is going to be listened to by billions of people,
Obviously.
one thing about these medications, like what would it be? Anything that you want to get off your chest?
Yeah, I think they're just misunderstood. I think that people in society with everything, we like to make things good or bad. And I think it's not right for everyone. So if it's right for you and you like it and you're doing well, then you shouldn't feel bad about it. Like fitness people who are microdosing it, or someone who maybe is morbidly obese and doing, whatever. I think it's misunderstood is basically what I'm trying to say.